It is that time of the year where all the best of lists start hitting your YouTube favorites. Today I'm going to be doing my top 9 debut novels of 2019. Come along, because all of these books are well worth your time. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? I hope you guys are doing very, very well. Happy holiday season. I hope you guys are all enjoying time with your friends, your family, your loved ones, and however you are going to spend this holiday season. I hope it's safe and happy and full of course, a ton of reading. I am actually super excited to do this video, but I want to shout out a couple of thank yous before we get started. It is always super duper lovely when I get surprises in the mail. So I want to thank my friend Sue for a very, very lovely Christmas card from her family. Sue has these I'm going to say she has these children, but then I'm going to talk about her Great Danes because I am in love with her 2 Great Danes. I follow them on Instagram, and Sue is phenomenal. She is a fantastic person with a big heart, a great reader, and she sends me all sorts of nice little cards. So thank you. Happy holidays, Sue, and I hope you and your family are doing well. I hope all of your kids get to come home for Christmas. And I also got a very lovely Christmas card. How cute is this thing? So adorable. From Canada, from Allison. So I want to say thank you so much, Allison, for this absolutely adorable Christmas card. Thank you, guys. They were in my P.O. box for my channel, and I was just so happy to get them. So thank you guys very, very much. So we better get started because I have a list of 9 debut novels to tell you about. Now, I am staying on point in that these are all debut novels that were published in 2019. Now, I did read a couple of debut novels that were published in 2018 this year that could have very well made the list. The Pisces by Melissa Broder very much would have made this list. But I tried to make sure that I was talking about books only published in the year of 2019. So these are my top 2019 debut reads in no particular order, just that they are all fantastic. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads. However you keep track of your TBR, please do so. If you can order these books from your local independent bookstore, please do so. Support those indies, especially during the holiday season. They need your support. Or if you are a library user, get your library to get these books for you, because I'm telling you guys, they are all 100% worth your time. We're going to start with actually a very slight little book, and that is August 9 Fog by Kathryn Scanlan, out from MCD FSG. I love to say that just because I think it sounds all super fancy. Now, the premise of this book is that Kathryn found an old journal of a woman over a 5-year period at sort of a auction sale, and she took it home and she sort of was reading through it and creating from it what became this book. And it becomes sort of a meditation on everyday life, everyday journeys, life, death, family, so much amazing stuff. I'm going to try to hold that up there. It is the most beautiful little naked hardback too. And it is, this book to me was one of those things that I didn't expect to affect me the way it did. But when I was done, it really made me think about life and aging and how important those people that you love are to you in just few short poetic little bursts. This book is really, really good, and I hope that more people pick it up. So that's August 9 Fog by Kathryn Scanlan. Next on the list is a debut novel that came out this year where did this come from? This is from Knopf, that I just don't think hardly enough people talked about. and that is Say by Lila Savage. And again, that's out from Knopf. And this is her first book. I think she actually lives in San Francisco, just up the way. And this is the story of a young woman. Well, she's actually more in her 30s, so I still consider that young. A young woman who gets hired as a caretaker by a man for his wife. His wife has had an accident and has a brain injury. And due to that brain injury, has some habits and different ways that she is going through life that are difficult for the husband to deal with on his own. So she comes into the family in order to help take care of the wife. But what she also does is she becomes friends with the husband, creates relationships with both the wife, even in her state of sort of discombobulation most of the time. The husband is looking for a friend, and she becomes also very self-reflective on her own life, her own relationship, and where that is going to go. And she starts to really take stock of the choices that she has made in life. I found this book heart-wrenching at times. I also found this book really very well written. Like, some of the sentences are absolutely just gorgeous. But at the same time, it had a sense of reality to it that I found really sort of almost heart-pounding when you think about what can happen and how one accident can change the entire dynamic, not only of your own life, but of the lives of the people that you love. So yeah, and this is really about taking care of people who aren't seeming to ever going to be able to get better. Yeah, and that sounds really heavy, but it is a beautiful book, and I absolutely loved it. And so that's Say by Lila Savage. That book did not get a lot of play on BookTube, and I really hope more people pick it up. It will not be a surprise, and I know I said this is 9 debut novels, but this is a nonfiction memoir that is sneaking its way in here, and that is How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones. This, to me, this is in my top 10 reads of all of 2019, so you will probably see it again in another video. But this is the story of Saeed's youth and his coming of age, his coming out, his sexual awakening, and how society, his family, and his relationship with his mother changes as he becomes more aware of who he is. Now, he is from a little town in Texas, so as you can imagine, being a queer Black boy in this little town in Texas has its own struggles and then strategies. He also has a mother who deals with illness, and he has home issues that he has to sort of work through. And then in the end, he winds up going to college in Kentucky, at Western Kentucky, which, as you can imagine, as a gay Black man, college age, going through all of that self-discovery, there are dangers and issues that go along with that. And at the end of it, he writes this beautifully poetic, beautifully moving, heart-wrenching, energizing, inspiring, perfect memoir of a book. And that is How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones. This is out from Simon & Schuster. Okay. A book that I read way back at the beginning of the year, out from One World, which I have still recommended. I know that it is a book that a lot of people have heard me talk about, and I think has probably my cover of the year, and that is, let me see if I can get that glare out of there, We Cast a Shadow by Maurice Carlos Ruffin. Now, this came out way back at the beginning of the year, to be honest with you. This is a social commentary on the idea of race in a slightly oft-timed America, where racism is at the forefront of just about everything, while every race is trying to become more and more white. And they are doing that by surgical procedures, whitening of their skin, all sorts of things to change themselves, to give themselves what they feel is an advantage in the world in which they live. This is the story of the narrator, and really he's a lawyer in a law firm, and his whole goal is to work in his life so that he can afford these procedures for his mixed race son, so his mixed race son will not have to deal with the same prejudices that he has had to deal with. Now, this book deals with a lot of things. It talks about internalized racism. It talks about really even having communication with people about how they really feel about who they are, how society's pressures get to the best of us, that the best of intentions at times are way out of line. And it's a lot about family, and it's a lot about really what we could possibly do different to make our world a better place. I loved this book. I have talked about it numerous times on my channel, and that is We Cast a Shadow by Maurice Carlos Ruffin. I'm going to hold that up there one more time for you. And that cover, the paperback is just coming out of this book, if I am not mistaken. And please pick it up, read it. You can email me about it. We can talk about it. It has a lot of stuff to discuss. Okay, next is a debut novel that I never, ever would have picked up if it hadn't been for the National Book Award long list. And I am so happy that I did, because I was truly rewarded by reading Fleshman is in Trouble by Taffy, Brodesser-Akner. I'm going to do that right. This is the story of a man who has recently got divorced, and he blames all of the issues with his relationship on his ex-wife. He is coming to sort of his own sexual awakening in his 40s, being a single man again, and how the world has changed since he met and dated his wife and had his 2 children. On a night very soon at the beginning of the book, his wife leaves the 2 children at his apartment and winds up disappearing. And he has to retake stock of his own life that he was trying to lead now as a single man, become a full-time parent, and he really has a lot of discussions in his head about his sexuality, about his relationship with his ex-wife, who he is. We have one other narrator in the book. It is a friend that he winds up connecting again with, who sort of adds I'm going to say like a Greek-like chorus to it. She adds sort of perspective to what the main character is, Mr. Fleshman, I think it's Toby is telling us. She sort of gives us more of a well-rounded view of what is going on. And he is in the search for his wife. He doesn't know where she wound up. And as he starts to investigate, he sort of creates his own anger again and again and again. And instead of moving on, he sits and he wallows in that anger. But we learn throughout the book that maybe everything that we know is not the true story. I'm not going to spoil the end, but I will tell you the last section is my favorite, and I really thought that that was the punch that this book needed to be as good as it was, and I am excited, super duper excited to see what she does next. So this is Fleishman is in Trouble by Taffy, Brodesser-Akner. Oh, let me hold that. Gosh, I'm getting a little close to the camera, guys. I'm having a little bit of an issue. Okay, so 4 more. I'm into 4 more, and then we're going to be through the 9. I have raved 100,000 times about In West Hills by Charels Winslo. This came out this year from Bloomsbury. I heard Charles speak about his book at Book Expo America this year. This is the story of 2 people. One of them is not. She is an independent African-American woman. This takes place in West Hills, which I apologize, I cannot remember what state. I want to say it's in North Carolina. But she is living a life where she is independent. She lives a life of partying, alcohol, and she has a boyfriend who wants to settle down, wants to marry her, but she is not willing to allow herself to be sort of tied down. And what happens is she winds up getting pregnant, and what that really does to herself and her life and her decisions moving forward. The other main character in the book is her best friend who lives next door, and he is sort of like her moral compass, her best friend. And also he has his own struggles. He has a wife and a young boy, and we learn a lot about the relationships that these 2 have with each other, but also the relationship that Knopf has within her community, and sort of how the community is there to support her even though she may not feel she needs it or wants it. This book is beautifully written. You will fly through it. You will be totally in love with the flawed character of Knopf. I promise you, 100% you will not forget her. And you will just feel endeared, and really, you will just love the heart of her best friend. I think his name is Otis. Yes, Otis Lee. And you will remember these 2 for the rest of the year, as I did when I read this book. So this is In West Hills by Charels Maurice Carlos Ruffin is becoming Deshawn's middle name. Deshawn Charles Winslo. Sorry about that, guys. And this is out from Bloomsbury. You guys, please go pick this up. This is a debut novel that I really thought that a lot of people would jump upon, and I really want more people to read it. Actually, that's a fib. I want more people to read all of these debut novels because they're all amazing. One debut novel that I read at the beginning of the year that I have not been able to get out of my head, and it has a lot of really interesting, I don't want to use the word discussion, that's the word I'm going to use about it, is Nahama by Sarah Blake. This is a retelling of the Noah flood story from the point of view of Noah's wife, Nahama. And she is a woman who truly loves Noah and doesn't have the same faith that he has, but she supports her husband and knows what's coming, so she goes on the ark, and it is about her inside journey on what she's going to do as all of this goes on. This book is a lot about a sexual awakening, and it's also just about being sexually free and owning who you are. There is some definitely interesting sexual encounters that occur throughout the book, but they add value to who she winds up deciding she is going to be as a person. And I never found them to be an issue with sort of their integration into the story. It all worked seamlessly for me. Sarah Blake is a poet by trade, and you can 100% tell from her writing style. You guys will not doubt that she is a poet. This book will challenge you. This book will make you think about things in a different way, but it will also show you about the beauty of relationships. It will show you about the beauty of self-awareness. It will talk to you a lot about doubt, religious doubt, relationship doubt, family doubt, and what you're going to do with your life, and really who you are going to decide to be in midst of all of that going on around you. I think it's a very, very good book, and I really wish more people would read it, and that is Nahama by Sarah Blake. This is out from Riverhead Books. Highly, highly recommend. This book over in the UK needs no introduction, but more people over here in the US 100% need to read The Confessions of Franny Langdon by Sarah Collins. This has won in all sorts of awards over in the UK. And Sarah Collins, congratulations. I am so very, very happy for you. This is the story of Franny Langdon. At the beginning of the novel, we find out she is on trial for the murder of the man and woman that she currently worked for. What we find out is she sits down to tell her story. She starts writing out her story, and we learn about her time as a slave in Jamaica and how she winds up in the UK and how she winds up in the household where her demise occurs. And what's really, really great about this is a woman telling her own story and how she became who the world sees her as, and how she became who she sees herself as. It is a thriller in a lot of ways because there's a murder at the heart of it. You know, at the very beginning of it, she's on trial for murder, and all of a sudden you'll be going back into the trial, and then you'll go back into her life and learn about her. I flew through this book. I think that if you are a fan of Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood or Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, I think those books are very much in the vein of this, and you will really, really enjoy this story. I highly recommend The Confessions of Franny Langdon by Sarah Collins. This is out by Harper in the US. I'm not sure who the UK publisher is, but it is everywhere in the UK. You can get your hands on it if you haven't read it, and you really should have read it. Last but not least is a cheat. Okay, I'm cheating just a tad. This book technically comes out on the last day of 2019, December 31st, 2019. So it isn't out yet, but it is a 2019 debut that comes out. Technically, they say it's coming out in January, but I'm telling you right now, it comes out December 31st, 2019. And it is stunning, brilliant debut novel, and that is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Read out from Putnam. One, this cover is fantastic. 2, her style is fantastic. I'm so in love with her because of her writing and her book, and it's amazing. This is the story of a young woman. She is a young black woman who works as a babysitter for an affluent white couple in Pittsburgh, I believe, Pittsburgh. And what happens is one night she gets a call from her employer saying, hey, something has happened. Can you come take our daughter away for a few hours while we clean up a mess that has occurred in our house? And she does. She comes. She's actually at a party for her friend's birthday, but she needs the cash. She's financially strapped. So she goes, she picks up the little girl who she has a real connection with. We'll talk about that in a minute. And she takes the girl to the local supermarket. And her and her friend are with this young, this girl, I think she's 5 or 6. I can't remember her age. I apologize. And they're just sort of passing time in the aisles of the store. And a sort of mall policeman comes up, store policeman, security guard comes up, and accuses her of basically, did she steal this young little girl? How is this, why and how did she become the caretaker of this little girl? And what happens is it becomes sort of this tension between the two of them, and then there's other people involved. There's a man with a video camera that is videotaping the entire situation, and there are other people outside of the situation who are giving their input where their input is not even warranted. She winds up calling the father of the little girl, comes in, he winds up putting it all straight, and she sort of just wants to move on with her life. But that instance, that thing changes the dynamic of her entire relationships with a number of people. The man who was videotaping the incident and her wind up running into each other again, and their relationship goes down a certain path. Her relationship with her employer, who is an sort of an affluent internet superstar, Instagram superstar, who has created a name, they did live in New York before she had her second child. They wound up moving south to Pittsburgh, and she's trying to find herself now. She has a second young child who she takes care of 100% all the time. Now, there's a couple things to absolutely love about this book. The relationship between Alex is the woman, Amira, and the young little girl is 100% one of the best relationships I've ever read between an adult and a child. Their love for each other is flat out there on the page. The little girl is quirky and funny and weird and just adorable in so many ways, and probably frustrating if you have to take care of her. However, what I will say is that what Kylie Read does amazing is she creates this relationship. She also creates tension because it winds up everything sort of comes together into a boil. I'm not going to spoil it because really as every page turns, you want to know where the book is going. But let's just say Alex, who is her employer, decides that she wants to come in and become friends with and then later save this young woman. And the young woman, Emira, she wants to take stock of her life. She wants to figure out where she's going to go, who she's going to be, and what changes. She recognizes she's not where she wanted to be at this point in her life, and what is she going to do about it? And she meets people like the man who was videotaping who feel like they always have the answer for her when she really is searching for the answer for herself. And there are a lot of struggles. She struggles with money. She struggles with the finances of living on your own once you're out of college, which I think will really resonate with a lot of readers. I could talk about this book forever, and I will, because it will be in a read and reviewed before you know it. But this book comes out from Putnam on December 31st, 2019. So I am sneaking it in there as one of my top debut novels of the year. Such a Fun Age by Kylie Read. Highly, highly recommend. So let's see if I can get these into a pile for you. I apologize, this video is a little bit longer than I thought it would be, mainly because I had so much to say about these amazing books. So take a look. Take a look. I hope all of these books wind up on your TBR. As always, if you are a return subscriber, as they all fall on the floor, if you are a return subscriber, I could not do this without you. Thank you so much. Happy, happy holidays. If this is my first video, I hope you subscribe and come back for more in 2020. Until next time, I always encourage you to shop locally, read globally, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.